What's up everyone, Netfilm Seth here, and today I want to look mainly around Blitz. So recently we've had the change to Blitz where you can now sim all your battles, and for this reason the scores have been ridiculously high to try and reach the targets that you may have been reaching before. And I think something that is very useful is trying to optimize your roster to use as many, if not all, your high-powered tools in your Blitz battles or for your Blitz rotation. And doing so, you'll be able to get as many points as you can out of your roster. I know there are people that like to play where you max each of your teams, and others like myself where I used to mainly focus around how I can improve my Blitz score and try making as many teams as I can at a certain power before I proceeded to try maxing any teams. And recently I encountered that even with hitting the max rotations I could in a day, I was only able to get to a score that put me on the edge of top 1%, and it's not something that I want to be uncertain of after investing all the time to make sure I hit those rotations. So after that, I went through my roster and I redid all my Blitz teams as much as I could to try and make use of as many of my tunes over 50,000 power as possible. If you have more capable tunes below that, by all means go ahead and make use of them. But that's as far as I could go reliably knowing that I can win at a good tier. So I'm just going to go through a couple of my teams that aren't the usual setup. Like for, you have your Brotherhood 2.0, you know which 5 you're going to run and things like that. But I did make a few changes to some of my teams to try and make use of tunes that don't have their team, or maybe extras on their team and don't really have a place. So as we're going through my squad, you can see I have my X-Men team, Sims, I have a very nice Supernatural team that I put a lot of work into, Black Order, Power Armor 2.0, X-Force. All of these are still your standard teams. Marauders, Doc Ox, the Inhumans, F4, and then you come to some of the other ones. So for my Young Avengers, I put Captain Marvel with them because having that opening damage just really helps them, and it's always good if your high powered tune is a DPS. Sometimes if they're a support or controller, it distorts the enemy's team to a point that it may actually make things worse for you. But if your highest power is a DPS, then that usually helps, or is a big damage dealer, then that usually helps you overcome some of the enemy teams that may not be as high level because of the average. For my Ultron team, I put some of my leftover units that I thought would kind of play a role and have some synergy. Vision being there to help with the defense up to the 3 other tech characters, which is Ghost, Ultron and Minerva. And Ultimus is there to have a little bit of synergy with Minerva, as well as my Kree team is quite a bit lower than he is, so I didn't want to add him with them. For my Asgards, I moved Thor to my Wave 1 Avengers team because he's more along the same power as them, and I put Nobu into my Asgardian team because he's almost 50,000 power. I have him at 5 red stars, so just to get that little bit out. And Asgardian team is so good that even with Thor missing, they can still reliably win. With the Merc team, because I don't have the minions or Korath or any of the other Mercs in the team, and because I did work on Shield Trooper previously for my Shield team, I decided to put him with them because especially Riot Guard taunts a lot, he normally is taunting. Having Trooper next to him will help him get a lot of counters out, which is quite good, you know, just that extra damage along the way. And again, like my highest tune here is Taskmaster, which really helps. Now for my next team is where what I said earlier becomes an issue, where Shuri is my highest power, which means sometimes the damage dealers like Black Panther, Storm and Okoye, they can't do the damage enough to overcome the enemy because of that distortion. So that team isn't one that always wins. Then again, some of the more normal teams, AIM, Guardians, my Hydra team, I don't have a Red Skull Hydra minion team, so I just put Red Skull with my Zemo, Brotherhood 2.0, Defenders, and then for my Sinister 6, because I have the rest of them with Dark Arc, I thought a nice fit would be Kingpin, because they have that extra villain synergy and he has a nice debuff. And for the last spot, because the three of them can manage to do a fair share and it's not a big power team, I thought I'll just put Night Nurse in there for some bit of extra healing. And the last team I have, which is my newest team that I'm still working on improving, is the new skill military team. I only recently geared up Yelena and Red Guardian, and with that I thought that I don't have the Merc Soldier geared up or leveled up, so I thought maybe it would be nice to put one of my other units that I haven't used anywhere else in the team. And Gamora is quite useful because she has Red Guardian protecting her, and one of her biggest flaws is she is quite easily killed. So by having her there, and actually it'd probably be better if I rearrange the team a bit so that she's not directly behind him, but by doing it this way I get to use her as well, which I wouldn't really be able to find another spot for her. And then the last few teams I have are just teams that can lose even with the sim, because the way I generally play it is I will work my way up to 8.3, do as many battles as I can, and then at the start of the next rotation I'll drop a few tiers, maybe 2, maybe 3, and I'll start from there again. So my teams that I'm not so confident in can still get wins at those tiers, even though the points may not be as high as if you had to run them at tier 8. Just winning those battles gets you points, which is much more useful than having tunes that are sitting in your roster without giving you any points. So I'm sure there are more ways to optimize my roster, but for now it's working decently well. And I think with this setup, there's always tunes that are outliers, their teams are already full, or maybe don't have the rest of their team leveled. And there's just small places that if you look for small bits of synergy, that you can then put them with other teams that may be either able to remove a person and still function as well, or be able to incorporate this tune with some synergy to help improve that team. So with that, I'll wrap up my video on my Blitz teams, and I hope you did enjoy and learned a couple of things or took a couple of tips away on how to make teams that may not be orthodox teams. And thank you so much for watching. Until next time.